talk.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. So another week, and we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
It's mostly Jordan's fault.
No, it's not. Beep, 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 beep. Well, it's all for the good of Gibby.
The good of Gibby.
So, essentially what's going to be happening now, we were going to be working like room by room by room, but what seems to be happening now is that we're going to have to just gut it. Just gut the whole thing and take down all the skins, try to figure out where all the access to the plumbing and wiring is, so we can figure out what it's there and rip it all out.
Oh, I hope this works. Throwing it into my flesh. It hurts. Piece by piece, bit by bit. Pretty much. I mean, these tubs were never built to be removed. Yeah. So you do what you gotta do, I suppose.
Gotta break it apart just enough so we can get the whole thing out of here.
Yeah, that's literally all I'm attempting to do. I think I can just get this side off right here.
All right, that was a really big ordeal taking out that shower stall basin thing. Like, when you stand in it, it feels like it's about to crack under your feet, but when you're trying to cut it up into pieces, it is much stronger and thicker than it is. But so we got that out of here cleaned up. So now we have access to the shower pump, there's the drain, and we also have, shows, you know, access into the walls where you can have access to some of the more of the wiring. We're finding like lots of access holes hidden behind built-ins and stuff like that, which is good for us. So yeah, so we'll have to get down there and kind of diagram the plumbing and what goes to what so we can figure out. So our big thing right now is this wall. This wall, I would say, so far is the weakest wall in the whole boat thus far, as we know. But we definitely need to strengthen this up quite a bit because this is the only wall that's we're thinking of doing all tile for the bathroom, you know, going from here all the way around for the actual shower stall. But as of right now, like I could barely, you know, there's really nothing holding this in. There's really nothing holding this window in. Like this, it's like you can see it's kind of like bowed here. We'll see what we can do about that. But what we're thinking of doing is, I got some West Systems epoxy, some really expensive, good stuff. But we're thinking of, since it's already fiberglass over a seam of plywood, so this gave it some structural integrity, and it provides a little wall, like a crevice wall or whatever. So we're thinking of maybe possibly pouring in epoxy into here so it fills in all the gaps within here to help strengthen up all the wood fibers and solidify. And we don't have that much, but we'll see how far it'll bring us. It could change, but we decided we're just gonna redo the entire electrical.
Right, because we don't know what anything goes to anymore. There's wires that are in the walls and the ceilings that are just cut, that don't go to anything. They're just dead end. but there's charge running through them. So they're cut on the end, but not wherever they're plugged in. That's not good.
So for safety's sake, it's probably best just to go ahead and redo the entire electrical, and it's gonna take longer and probably be more expensive, but we'll know exactly what is there, so that way we will never feel uncomfortable with anything that we do. Like normally it's like just being in it right now and seeing how the electrical is, I am not confident in what was done previously, and it adds a little bit of stress that we want to eliminate. If we can live on this with knowing exactly what switch goes to what, and knowing that nothing can electrocute anybody, because we're gonna have our fur babies, we don't want them to get hurt.
So this week, with the things that we've done are we've shored up the rest of the roof. We put in the beam, the header beam that's there.
We still got one more beam to go.
Yeah, and we got a Craftsman skill saw, and not that great.
No,
not that great, Craftsman.
Not that great at all. It barely made it through one beam, and it just keeps dying on us.
Yeah, it doesn't have enough juice.
Doesn't have enough juice to go through it, so it's like slow going just to get it done. So we still got one more beam to do for the shore up the roof, and then that should be all done. Yay!
Yeah, the roof should be done. We patched a little bit of the roof in the bathroom, and then we almost caught the houseboat on fire.
There was a warning that epoxy does get hot, and we knew that going into it, but we weren't really sure how hot it could get, and we started seeing it smoking a little bit, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. And so we took this fire extinguisher and just quickly with the fire extinguisher, so you can probably see a little bit of the white stuff in the fire extinguisher, and we went out here to feel how hot, because the fiberglass is flammable, but it's weird because resin is used with fiberglass. I don't know, it's really weird. So it's not really, it's cool water, just pouring it on here just to keep, it's isolated to one spot. We haven't even tested over there.
There wasn't a whole lot.
But over here, you can definitely feel a temperature difference. So what happened there is, like, my idea was that we were going to use West Systems epoxy, and we were going to, because we can't replace the plywood that make up the walls in this entire, like, the structure.
Right, because they're directly adhered to the fiberglass on the outside,
and we don't.
So we can't do that.
We're not about that project right now. So what we could do is just remove the rot that we can, and we're just going to have to solidify what's currently there and just do the best that we can. So the good thing is they fiberglassed over the seams of where the two upper and the lower parts of the plywood join, which is great because that allows it some structural integrity, but it gives us a little crevice to then run epoxy in to help strengthen that where underneath the windows, especially where water has gotten in and has rotted and the walls have become a little soft.
Hello, I'm Julia Childs. No, not really. But we are going to be cooking. We're going to be cooking today. We're going to be cooking up some epoxy resin. As Jordan mentioned previously, he's got this idea to use this marine grade resin to fill in the holes and hopefully shore up this wall that we can't remove. We just can't do it because the other side of this is the fiberglass, and we just don't have the ability to take this off and re-fiberglass the outside. So we're doing whatever we can to repair it. So we're going to fill in these gaps with marine grade resin, which we have here. It's a two-part resin, so we've got the resin itself, and then we have the hardener, and it's a 1:5 ratio. So 1 hardener for 5 resin. That's how it works. But because we don't like math around here, we got these handy dandy quick pumps. So these pumps are metered and calibrated specifically to give us the exact amount of resin and hardener that we need. So we have 3 different types right here because it's based off the different types of resin and hardener. The 105, we've got this one right here, that's for this. And we've got the 205 right here, the middle size one, which is for this. So what that does is it allows us, instead of figuring, 1 cup, 5 cups, it allows us to do 1 pump, 1 pump, because they're metered. So it'll give us exactly what we want each time. And then we're gonna hopefully achieve some resiny goodness. So anyway, without further ado, Now, obviously, if you look at what's going on here, this, it's not gonna fit. So I think, actually, it does. Okay, it makes life easier. So that's just gonna come right off.
Does it still fit?
Yeah, it should fit now. Yep. Bam. Look at that. So
the guy at West Marine told us to just cut it.
Knew that was gonna come off. But for safety, you want to use gloves. Probably not fabric gloves, but we ran out of latex gloves. You want to use protection because this stuff can damage your skin. It is toxic material, so you do want safety precautions.
Probably even need
fumes,
eyes. Probably.
Yeah, you probably do, but I can't see with it. So I feel like not being able to see what I'm doing is just as dangerous. So the fumes from this are bad, so you want proper ventilation because this stuff stinks so bad. So I'm gonna open it up.
Do you need to mix it? Do you need to mix it first before opening it?
No.
Like no shaking it up.
No. Does not need mixing. Which makes sense because that would make air bubbles and nobody wants air bubbles. What? I have to cut it. Wah, wah, wah. All right, so I was able to get the little caps off. It said cut this out, but I didn't need to cut it out. It pops right open. So stupid instructions. Anyway, like I said, so we've got them installed. So 205, 105. Let me just double check real quick. Big pump 105, yep. Medium pump 205, yep. Good. So this is a 1-to-1 pump ratio. They say you should alternate if you're doing more than one pumps. So it'll help it mix better, I guess. So I'm gonna do one pump with the 105. Nothing happened.
You gotta prime it.
There we go. One pump, 105. Maybe. One pump 205. I'm gonna do one more. One pump 105. One pump 205. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna start with, just to make sure that it actually like does stuff. And then they say to mix it for about a minute. So, and through the magic of YouTube, it's been a minute. So now I'm just gonna pour it. This is what it looks like. See, it's got a little bit of a coloration, a little bit of a yellow tinge to it. So now I'm just going to pour it into this gap. Obviously this is not enough, but I'm gonna make some more. This is just a little test batch. But yeah, there it is. Just trickling down. And then, yeah, so we'll get back to you with what the deal is.
We knew the chemical reaction created heat. We knew that going into it, but we greatly underestimated how hot versus how much you made, because we made a lot, and we just poured a lot of it in to fill this big crevice, and it got hot where you start smoking. We got the fire extinguisher out. We got and feeling it from the outside of the wall, it got really hot to the touch, and that's fiberglass is very flammable.
Yeah, so we had to like kind of create like a thermal sink and run cold hose water over the outside of the fiberglass, so that way it kept the temperature down, so it prevented it from igniting. So that was interesting.
It worked.
Wasn't expecting it. Worked. We're still here. Didn't burn the thing down, and now that portion of the wall is super solid. So
yeah, it's very solid now. It's
yeah,
like,
yes.
Man, it's like if it just didn't have that reaction, we'd do this for all the wall. I mean, it'd be pricey. Like, yeah, West Systems epoxy is not cheap, but it does a fantastic job. And yeah, too bad it's pretty pricey just to get the walls. So we're just doing the best that we can, just get it structurally, especially because this wall is the bathroom, and where it's always going to get like wet and we're gonna have tile in there, so it's adding some weight. We just want to make sure that wall is as strong as it possibly can be at the current time. As of right now, that we know that's the weakest. Everything is a lot more complicated due to the way this boat was built. None of this stuff was ever meant to come out.
Yep, so stay tuned, leave comments, ask questions, do whatever you do, like, share, hit the ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh, and disclosure, this is not a how-to. No, not a how-to.
If anything, this is a how not to. This is a DIY, why did we do this? That's what this is. So finally, for a chance, we get to put things back in. Woo! So what we did is we cut these boards right here to